over of the previous NASCAR race, and talking about that NASCAR race, Brad Jones and Charlie O'Brien backing up, and there'll be two of the very much the major players in this race. Yesterday we had Brad Jones winning in the Audi from his teammate Greg Murphy. At the moment we're looking at Charlie O'Brien. Warwick, not much time between races to get your thoughts together.
No, but certainly the track knowledge around here, getting plenty of miles around the circuit helps, and Charlie just finished second to Jimmy Richards in the NASCAR race. Had a great race. Lost some brakes towards the end there, run across the chicane and overtook Jimmy, but so he'll be pumped up. He wants to get right up here and secure himself for the rest of the season.
Well, we're down to 15 starters for this race too. Yesterday we had the incident involving young Stephen Richards in the Alfa Romeo. A fair bit of body damage done to the car, and he's unable to back up today.
Well, they just haven't got all the spares here yet, and it's not a championship round for them. They really want to get focused on getting ready for Oran Park. We were looking at Brabham. He's been getting some great starts, which is surprising because in the States in the last few years he's been doing all rolling starts, not standing starts like we see here in the touring cars. But we'll watch him off the grid, and I think another one to really watch here will be Paul Morris, who's starting off the back of the grid, and he is really wound up and he's on a mission. He's only got 6 laps to get up the front, and he really wants to get right up there.
So just standing by for the warm-up lap, that's the camera inside the car of Brad Jones, who is the pole sitter. And as I say, down to a field of 15, and Paul Morris, the man right at the back, we will be looking out for from the Diet Coke BMW team. Some problems at the start yesterday for Jeff Allen. One in the warm-up lap, he's in the Ford Mondeo, and one right at the start, but he certainly made up some ground. And that's the back marker there that we just saw Peter Hills in the Ford Sierra. Not hard to miss with a fluorescent trim.
Yeah, what happened to Allen yesterday is that they got to shut the engines off when they come up after the warm-up lap, and the guys hadn't got around yet with the battery that they've got to hook up to the car to help start them, and he was just left stranded on the line, but no such problems today.
Ford Sierra of Peter Hills. And the Ford Sierras, we've also got Rob Tweedy in the Sierra, car number 79, which you'll see stands out. About we have a look at the grid right now for this race too. Jones and Murphy, the two Audis right up front. Murphy, the young Kiwi. Jeff Brabham in the BMW. Charlie O'Brien also in the BMW on row 2. Row 3, Allen in the Ford Mondeo. And Richards will be a non-starter in this race. Tony Scott, the Volvo, on row 4. And Stephen Ellery, one of the privateer entries. Pickett and Matthews, two privateer entries also looking to make an impact. Gross and Tweedy further back. Tweedy in the Ford Sierra. Row 7 is Melinda Price, the lone lady in the field, with Paul Morris in the BMW. And the back markers, Hills and Holden. Holden, one of the real veterans driving a BMW in this field. He didn't start in yesterday's race, so he obviously at some sort of disadvantage. And of course, qualifying times with numerous delays on Thursday and Friday, qualifying times for this category were cut right back. Someone like Melinda Price, she had a 15-minute session on Friday and before going out the race yesterday. So that's all the time she spent out on the track. And right now, we're back with Tony Scott.
We're looking at Jeff Allen. We were looking at Jeff Allen. Looking at the Volvo now, the station wagon, put together by Tom Walkinshaw Racing in the United Kingdom. It's certainly a great marketing tool for Volvo, but also very competitive. Allen, they've made some changes to the car since he's been here. He only arrived a couple of days ago. New into the Ross Palmer Racing team. And they've got some interesting signage on the car this weekend. They've got White Cross, which is a charity for the rehabilitation for abused kids. It's one of Ross Palmer's favourite charities, so they're supporting them this weekend. But I think Allen is, talking to him this morning, he was pretty confident and he really wants to get up there and give the two Audis and Brabham a real shake-up in this race.
Well, the Super Tourers, the 2 litres, are only going to get better for what we see this weekend. There's a lot of packages still coming in from overseas, aero packages that the cars are looking at, so there's going to be changes happening. I know that the Audis are looking at the sequential gearbox. They'll have that in before the end of the year. Certainly they're doing nothing wrong here, but you know, the face of the racing will change as the season progresses. Oran Park is round 2. Round 1, of course, was in Phillip Island when Paul Morris won both races. So very tight racing with Brad Jones second in both races. Greg Murphy and Jeff Brabham picked up a couple of thirds there, and Tony Scott was fourth in both races in the Volvo. So the racing will improve, it'll also change, but that's to be expected. You're looking at people. The Volvo is one classic example. It only arrived here in February, so they're still learning a lot about the car, and they haven't done a lot of testing.
No, that's right. And also, too, previous to this year, you had to homologate, or the manufacturer had to make 25,000 vehicles to be eligible to race in this, and they had to have the homologation with those numbers, where now they're saying a wings for all rule, where all the cars are eligible to have wings, so that's going to even the fields out even more than what they are now.
It's a great shot from above the circuit as we see them coming down to their grid positions now to line up. We'll have the camera right at the front of the pack, and back in 7th position with Tony Scott. We don't see that much around here too often. The traffic outside the track going faster than what's happening on the circuit. That's the case right at the moment. Back with Brad Jones. He'll just cruise his way into the front row of the grid. And yesterday it was Murphy who had the advantage off the line and certainly won the points over his teammate. But at the finish it was Jones ahead of Murphy. So Jones is on the right of screen, the yellow side mirrors. On the left, the young Kiwi Greg Murphy. The Diet Coke BMW right to the right of screen is that of Jeff Brabham. Tony Scott has Jeff Allen right in front of him. He's looking to get round the circle without too many problems. So let's see the battle today. Will Murphy get the advantage ahead of Jones?
You'd expect
6 laps.
You'd expect the Quattros to get off the line well. The lights are green, but look at Brabham.
Brabham's made a sensational start, straight past Jones. Murphy should take up the running already. Morris from the back of the field, one's been left behind. It may have been Pickett all the way back. But again, Jones has missed the start, and Brabham, and Murphy takes up the lead. So Murphy again, the lesser of the teammates, if you like, in the Audi, takes over the running from Brabham, and Brad Jones will be very disappointed.
Yeah, well, certainly Jones got bogged out at the start. I can't actually see him at all. He hasn't come through yet. Brabham got the jump on Murphy initially and then got through on the first chicane.
So Charlie O'Brien moved up to 3rd, and I think you'll find that Jones is back in 4th position, and we had one left behind at the start. So the young Kiwi Greg Murphy is on top, Brabham 2nd, O'Brien 3rd, and then back to Jones and Allen, and Ellery's made his move up through the field as well.
Watch Morris. Morris has got past all the back markers. I think he's in about 7th, 6th position at the moment, so he's really got the wick turned up and hooking into it. He's just taking Ellery, moving into 5th, outbreaks him. He's got his sights set on Allen.
Outstanding performance here from Paul Morris. He is really going for it. And he'll be happy that his teammate Jeff Brabham made such a good start as well. The 2 BMWs, of course, they performed so well at Phillip Island.
Let's watch Morris through the chicane. No, actually quite neat.
No, the Audis have been criticised a little for their curb work, if you like, around the circuit. Looking again at Morris, just ahead of Steve Ellery, and he's got Jeff Allen right in his sights. He almost touched the wall.
You can actually see Paul being a little bit more aggressive than the others. He's on the first lap, he's already moving the car right up against the wall, using all the road.
So about to complete the first lap of 6, and right on his hammer.
Jones starting to apply pressure to O'Brien, so run onto the front straight for the first time.
This is just an amazing performance. He's got O'Brien right in his sights, and he'll probably look to do the damage on the beach side of the circuit. Allen now is in pursuit of Jones.
This is interesting. You watch the Quattro drop back a little bit from the BMW on the straight. In fact, Allen was starting to pull him up, but then under brakes, the Quattro seems to close up on the BMWs again. Jones is having a look down the inside. He won't go anywhere there.
Second of the chicanes. And Charlie O'Brien now has the task of trying to keep Paul Morris right behind him. Charlie O'Brien currently 3rd. The top 3, Murphy, Brabham, O'Brien. Then Jones in 4th, but maybe not for long, and Allen in the Ford Mondeo 5th.
This is where Morris' progress will get a little bit harder, which he got past a lot of the slower cars pretty quickly, but once he gets into this bunch, where the times are very close and the racing's quite tight, he's going to find it a little bit harder to get past.
And in front, the Kiwi Greg Murphy held that position for 90% of yesterday's race. Brabham holding down second spot. Further back through the field. Now with Jeff Allen. And Paul Morris right there.
The front-wheel drive Mondeo is a little bit lighter car than the rear-wheel drive BMW. It should be a little bit quicker down the straight. In fact, it looks like he pulls out a little bit. Down through the double chicane.
Taking plenty of shortcuts. Morris still throwing it around in pursuit of Allen. We mentioned yesterday, as far as the Audis are concerned, such an advantage they have in braking around this circuit. They can brake so much later into the slow corners. Up to 50 metres was the figure mentioned.
Well, the Quattro's got the advantage of the retardation of having two diffs, and certainly that helps them. But just looking at Allen, you've got to remember that he's very experienced with front-wheel drive cars. He's been driving the Vauxhall in the British Touring Car Championship for 3 years, drove the BMW for 1 year before that. His best placing in the British Championship was a 4th. And talking to Neil Lowe, the engineer for that team, the feedback that he's been giving has been absolutely superb.
So into lap 3, what has happened with those dices further back? It's left Murphy all alone in front and O'Brien there. And about to get past. No, he just closes up as they go into the chicane. Brad Jones closing in on O'Brien. It's the battle for 3rd and 4th. Ahead of them, Brabham and Murphy.
And if you remember back to the race prior to this, O'Brien finished in front of Jones in the NASCAR race. So Charlie trying to stamp his authority over Bradley this weekend.
Oh, it's a real battle, BMWs and Audis. And Jeff Allen, the black sheep in the Ford Mondeo. As O'Brien takes it wider than Jones there.
Bradley has to really work at this part of the circuit to try and hook onto the back of O'Brien. You can see O'Brien trying to get him off his tail so he doesn't get the toe down the chute. He's going to try and stay to the inside as they go into the first chicane, which is they've got to turn left.
The move now from Jones. Can he get round on the outside? He's pushed wide. What about that move from Jones? And he's lost his spot, has he?
Yeah, Allen's got through there. He's lost momentum, and Morris down the outside as well. So Jones loses 2 spots there.
And Allen's now the man closest to Charlie O'Brien, and Morris right behind Allen and Jones. It hasn't been the best of races for our winner from yesterday, Brad Jones, in the Audi.
And look at Morris. Morris is really starting to apply pressure to Jeff Allen. Right. So we've got a really good battle here between Ford Mondeo, BMW and Audi.
Paul Morris locks it up and almost takes out the man behind him, Jones. Last year, Paul Morris, the teammate of Tony Longhurst. Morris finishing 2nd in the 2-litre championship.
And the interesting thing here is we've got the Mondeo front-wheel drive, the BMW rear-wheel drive, we've got the Audi, which is a Quattro. So we've got 3 different types of configurations.
Jones trying to make the move there on Morris. He's keen to get it back. He can't do it on this occasion. And they leave the leaders alone in front. Charlie O'Brien happy to sit in 3rd spot right at the moment. Jeff Brabham up in 2nd. There's the gap ahead of him to catch up with Greg Murphy, the Kiwi, in the Audi. Brabham, the eldest of Sir Jack's 3 sons, is now residing on the Gold Coast. And holding down 2nd spot at the moment. The gap is around about 2 seconds. We're on lap 4. Brabham, I guess, is looking in the rear vision mirror saying, I wonder when the teammate Morris is going to catch up. He might just catch a glimpse of him there.
Well, what's been happening is that Murphy and Brabham have had their own run. They've been able to concentrate on just putting good laps together, where the other 4 cars, O'Brien, Allen, Morris and Jones, have been really fighting over the road, and that's probably been slowing their lap times down.
Straight line speed of Allen, unable to peg back O'Brien there. Back to Morris. Jones. Morris car 23. 2nd of the dyed cake BMWs. The Ford Mondeo in pursuit of the BMW of Charlie O'Brien.
Jeff Allen thinks there's plenty left in the Mondeo, and they're all really hooking into those curbs now.
It's a great part of the circuit. So it's been where all the move. Here comes the move this time. Can he get him? He has. So Brad Jones squeezes his way through past Paul Morris. Jones gets his own back.
Well, Morris predicted he'd get the quickest lap of the race today, so that wasn't part of the plan to have Jones come back at him. Now Jones will have a go at Allen. He's closed right up under brakes, but watch the front-wheel drive Mondeo. Should be a little bit quicker down the chute.
Doesn't quite get him there as they sprung wide, and the Mondeo pulls it out in the straight line speed away from Jones and further back to Morris. That's 4th, 5th and 6th. Must remind that Murphy, the young Kiwi, as he felt yesterday, this would be a very satisfying win if he can stay up the front. So it's Murphy, Brabham, O'Brien, the Mondeo of Allen, Jones and Morris. Further back to Ellery, Tony Scott. The fans of the Volvo back in 8th position.
This is a part of the circuit where Brad Jones can usually would get an opportunity, but I think he's too far back from Allen. I'm very surprised at the speed of the Mondeo down the chute. It's just very, very quick indeed.
So it's almost a 3-second advantage between Murphy and Brabham, and then a little over 3 seconds between 2nd and 3rd, Brabham and O'Brien. O'Brien at the moment has other things on his mind. Allen, Jones trying to make that move on Allen, and Morris may have just dropped off the pace just a shade. You can see the gap further back to Ellery. Now can he make a move this time? Will he be bold enough to try and force his way past? Brad Jones in car 34. Allen trying to sneak a little look past O'Brien.
I think Allen, in certain parts of the circuit, is already starting to drive a bit defensively to keep Jones at bay. When he came on the back straight, he drove straight onto the inside line to keep him away. But down the chute, certainly a bit quicker.
Well, there's more car off the circuit than on as they went through that chicane. These three having a real battle. Allen, the Mondeo. Back to Jones and Morris. I think Jeff Allen's enjoying this.
I think he certainly is. He was without a ride a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden he's come from cold old England to Service Paradise, and they've been a great battle, and Jones gives him a little nudge up the back to say, I'm here, I want to get through.
I don't think you'll get him down the straight. And it's Murphy out in front into the last lap. Murphy with a fair sort of advantage back to Brabham. And O'Brien and Allen. Allen pulls away again from Jones down the straight, the fastest part of the track. They get it up around 250 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, that's the fastest part of the track. He said it is there, and there's just remind everybody there's 51 gear changes around this circuit, so the guys are really working hard. Now Allen's starting to close in on O'Brien. He's still got time to get past, and he's dropped Jones off. Morris seems like he might settle to sit behind the Audi.
Right at the front, Murphy's gap is now over 3 seconds. Charlie O'Brien currently 3rd ahead of Jeff Allen. BMW against Ford Mondeo. Again, they close up at this part of the circuit as they swing round to the beach side. And it's a pretty comfortable gap between all four at the moment, which hasn't been the case for the previous laps.
Charlie O'Brien's car being run by BMW Motorsport New Zealand, so it's good to see that team over here in Australia racing. We've got Jeff Allen from the UK, so a bit of international flavour in this race for the super touring cars.
And they'll be off to Oran Park for the next round of the championship. Charlie O'Brien holding down 3rd. This time I don't know whether anyone is in a position to try and make a move here. Still trying though is Jones. And Allen pulling away from Jones right now as Morris closes in on him.
One interesting thing about this category is that different cars have different points in which they're better. Morris having a bit of a go, but not enough room to get inside Jones.
Oh, it certainly puts the overall standings interesting. Greg Murphy would have been so disappointed after yesterday, but he'll be the overall winner. Greg Murphy in car 35, the young Kiwi. Just 22 years of age, he'll take the checkered flag in race 2, and he will be our overall winner. So a fantastic effort from the young Kiwi. 2nd to Jeff Brabham in the Diet Cake BMW. 3rd to Charlie O'Brien. Jeff Allen 4th. Brad Jones 5th. And Paul Morris back in 6th. But everything's worked out well for young Greg Murphy. He had to, well, we had the formation finish yesterday. He comes up with a victory today, and he wins the Super Touring Cup, Gold Coast Indy. Plenty more, of course, to come on Nine's Wide World of Sports.